Hi friends, welcome back to the Saffron Box. In this video today I shall be talking about the transit of Mars which has recently taken place into the sign of Aquarius. So Mars transited into the sign of Aquarius on the 6th of November after a long time, spending a lot of time in the sign of Capricorn, and now since it's entered Aquarius, it shall be there till the 23rd of December. So studying the impact of the transit of Mars is very important because Mars has broken off from its sign of exaltation. It has come out of its sign of exaltation, that is Capricorn, after a very long time, more than 6 months in fact. And it is also now away from the Rahu and Ketu axis. Right, so Mars and Ketu together were conjunct in the sign of Capricorn for a really long time, and they both are fiery planets. Mars is the fiery planet, it is the commander-in-chief, it's the ball of fire, and Ketu is also considered like Mars. So there was a lot of heat in the sign of Capricorn, and now that conjunction has broken. Okay, so Mars now has entered Aquarius. And whenever, say after the sign of exaltation, that is Capricorn in this case, whenever a planet moves out of the sign of exaltation or debilitation, it's very important to study the impact, because then it becomes like in the case of Mars, from exaltation it is now started its journey from the sign of Capricorn towards the sign of Cancer, where it debilitates. So it has become Neecha Bhilashi now, because it is now transiting towards the sign of debilitation. Right, so what happens is, in such a case, the level or the performance which the planet had for all these months, in its sign of exaltation, now it tries to sober down. And for this we also need to understand the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius now is a very, it's a fixed sign, it's an air sign, and most importantly it is a Saturnian sign. And in this transit, if we see, Saturn is already in the sign of Sagittarius. So from the sign of Sagittarius, Saturn is anyways casting its third aspect onto Mars in the sign of Aquarius. So a lot of slowing down shall now take place. And when I say slowing down, why? Because in the sign of Capricorn, a lot of organizing and action was happening for Mars. Now in the sign of Aquarius, being an air sign, this sign tells you to think a lot and think ahead, because it's a futuristic sign. So it's time for us to put our action, or rather think about what the future holds. Right, so think about what is going to happen and deliberate over, calibrate your efforts, in a defined manner. So Aquarius being a fixed sign, a slower sign, it also tells you to go a little slow. Whatever speed was happening, whatever speed Mars had taken till now it shall slow down a little bit. Right, so that is the kind of impact which will now be seen in all the ascendants as well. So wherever Aquarius is placed in your chart, you need to see that house. Say Aquarius comes in your third house, so you shall see that a lot of energy is being infused in your third house matters, like your younger siblings, you're becoming very active with them, your communication or your short-term journeys, just to take an example. So you shall be putting in a lot of energy in your short-term journeys, in your writing, with your neighbors, communicating a lot with your neighbors, with your siblings, etc. But all this will be done with a lot of deliberation, right, with a lot of thought, keeping the future in mind. And Mars is transiting into through the third and the fourth charan of Dhanishtha as well, which is a Mars own nakshatra. So this nakshatra tells us, the symbol of Dhanishtha is the drum. So it tells you to be in rhythm, it tells you to be in tandem. So while Mars transits through Dhanishtha, that is till the 16th of November, it's a time for us to get in tandem with everything around us, get in sync with everything around us, listen to the rhythm around you. And thereafter, Mars moves into the nakshatra of Shatabhishak, which is a Rahu-owned nakshatra. So that time, that period from 16th November till the 2nd of December, which is the time Mars transits through the Shatabhishak nakshatra, tells us to slow down a little, go slow, deliberate more. Because one, it is a Rahu-owned nakshatra, so we don't know what is coming in future, what is coming in front of us. And Shatabhishak means 100 physicians. So it can go either way, it can flip either way. So either you take the corrective path, so because 100 physician means recovery, healing. So either you take the correct path, take the natural course of healing or letting things be on their own course, or you let the fog of Rahu take over. So it's a time of deliberation, right? And thereafter Mars moves into the nakshatra of Poorvabhadrapada, which is the Jupiter owned nakshatra and the last nakshatra which Jupiter owns. So this asterism, this nakshatra also is a lucky nakshatra, right? The symbol is the front part of the funeral cot. So here I am not talking about funerals, here I am talking about completion. So taking things to completion with lot of deliberation, with lot of thought, with the future in mind, is what the energy flow will be all about, right? So various ascendants shall feel the impact of this transit in various ways. So I shall not go over each and every ascendant, but I would just give you the highlights, like for the ascendant of Aries or Scorpio, these signs are owned by Mars. So the impact will be very high because they are Mars owned signs, and if the sign lord itself is transiting, is changing signs from one to the other, the impact is felt quite strongly. Okay, and also the sign of Aquarius, because Mars is coming there. So overall, if we see the general impact, we'll see that a lot of group efforts will come into play overall, because Aquarius is a sign of group effort. It's a humanitarian sign also. So there could be people coming together in groups for a cause. It could be a philanthropic cause, it could be a social cause as well. So a lot of such activities will now come into play, and we need to deliberate over, we need to see, there will be a lot of future planning which will come into play. So groups coming together to think about what they need to do in the future could be the theme in the during this transit, right? So that was my analysis, that was my understanding of this transit, Mars transit into Aquarius. In case you have some observations or you want to leave some feedback on this transit, do not forget to leave a comment in the comment section. And in case you have already subscribed, a big thank you to you. In case you are a first time visitor here to my channel, do not forget to subscribe before you leave. Yeah, so see you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.